Damian Collins, what the government is proposing is mass surveillance. It would hand power to repressive regimes the world over.
No, I don't accept that. I mean, with this bit of the online safety bill we're talking about is an important but quite small piece of the bill, dealing with messaging services, and it only relates to child sexual exploitation content. So the worst content, where it is not a matter of context. It is without dispute that this content is vile and it is illegal.
China also censors the internet by passing laws and rules that flat out ban certain content that the government deems illegal or inappropriate.
And what we want companies to do is to use their best endeavours to proactively detect content related to child sexual exploitation so that it can be flagged and investigated.
The government actually requires Chinese internet companies to employ armies of human censors to police user-generated content on their platforms.
What do you make of what you've just heard?
What I can say is that there is no way to create a backdoor that only the good guys can walk through. And what's being proposed here in the context of end-to-end encryption is a backdoor. And we know from decades of history, from decades of serious research, that there's no such thing as a safe backdoor.
China also requires internet companies to store user data on local servers and to allow authorities to inspect them when they deem necessary. So while many in the West are up in arms about privacy and freedom of speech online, in China, users know that Big Brother is watching closely.
If the British police can get in, hackers can get in. If the British police can get in, hostile nations can get in. If the British police can get in, Putin can get in, the Iranian government can get in, and others wanting to do harm can get in. So it's really important that we maintain the security and integrity of these systems.
Remember why they need us.
Well, this is our second week back from vacation. I hope everything went okay with you guys. You had a good holiday. I mean, last week was super hot. I mean, summer had not left us as of yet, even though we're in September. Yesterday felt like it was either the middle of July or the beginning of August last week. And, you know, similar weather for this week, especially on the East Coast. Around the New York area, and there's a lot of crazy things going on in New York as well. Last week we talked about online safety bills, age verification. We had a couple of wins. Arkansas, it's on hold. Texas, it's on hold. And we're hearing that other states may go the same distance. And this proves to you. I mean, even Australia has decided not to go the way of age verification, more toward educating parents on how to use internet blockers to block certain websites, which are very simple to do. It's free, it's simple. Google, Firefox, all these sites have ways to safe search. You can put it for your children, and that's the end of the story. But we saw this coming. We saw this coming from this particular country because, I mean, they're being called the most highly restrictive as far as the internet that it's going to be. I mean, they don't have the same situation like we have here with the Constitution, the free speech. Because people will say like, well, we don't want hate speech. You can't have hate speech. But the thing about it is, the Constitution says they can say whatever the fuck they want to say, as long as they don't, it doesn't become to the point where they get to violence. The Supreme Court has already deemed that in multiple, not one, not two, but multiple court cases, even up to about 2017, that, it says that basically if this particular person says something, it's not in violation of the Constitution. They are allowed to say it, whether you agree or disagree with it. Some people say, well, there are a lot of racist people out there. Well, they have some people that are misinformed out there, and there are some racist people out there. And hey, listen, no offense, I'd rather know who the hell they are, if they're going to spew this shit out. So at least, let's stay the hell away from them. So that's the thing. People could spew all they want, and when it comes down to it, you just walk away from them. You just get away and don't be bothered. But in this video, we are going to be going over the online safety bill from the United Kingdom, and that basically it's looking like it's more closer to implementation than before. Or, hey, listen, we may be wrong and it may get delayed again.
When everything breaks at the seams and you feel like you're losing belief, well, damn it, you just gotta stay strong when it all falls apart and goes wrong, when you feel let down and so lost and it feels like you can't hold on. Well, damn it, you just gotta stay strong, 'cause sometimes things go wrong and one day everything's gone, but you can make it out and move on. So damn it, you just gotta stay strong.
Besides my coverage, there's a couple other people out there that's dealing with the coverage online. XBiz happens to be one of the others. The Free Speech Coalition does give information to that. I mean, we have several other stories coming out according to this, because there are other lawsuits that are surrounding some of these online safety bills and adult people in the adult business, or if you happen to be a content creator on Instagram or a couple of other sites that shows nudity, sex to that situation, and how certain other entities deals with this situation, which is also a violation of the Constitution. Because, you know, when it comes to the UK, they have their laws. When it comes to the US, you know, there are laws here that protect the consumer and the business owner. But let's read into this out of XBiz. Gustav Turner, again, giving us another fascinating article. UK government poised to effectively restrict adult content through controversial online safety bill. Always remember, they're not saying pornography. They haven't said pornography in these bills. Read the bills. They'll say it in the undertones of it, but when you look at the overview, it's worded very vague. And people said, well, maybe, you know, they don't understand what they're doing. No, they understand what they're doing, because it is a loophole. It gives them the right to start censoring other things other than pornography. They'll go after the anime and manga. They'll go after the horror film, the action films, the R-rated movies.
Regardless of the exact numbering, though, these amendments give additional powers to an agency called Ofcom. For those of you outside the UK, Ofcom is a regulatory agency created by the government to regulate TV and radio. If you don't like something that's being broadcast, for example, Ofcom are who you complain to.
They'll go after the books. They'll go after many different things that are online. Yes, and I talk about books, comic books, you know, information, medical information. They'll deem that, you know, dangerous. You know, that's what they're doing. It's when you mean safety bill. You know, it doesn't say children's safety bill. It says online safety bill, even though they're pushing it as a children's safety bill. UK's much delayed online safety bill appears to be heading to the implementation after last-minute negotiations at the House of Lords, in spite of vocal criticisms by virtually all digital rights and free speech organizations and advocates. Leading digital rights groups, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, or EFF, published an extensive analysis of the bill written by Jason Keeley and Monica Horton, warning that the legislation will mandate dangerous age verification for much of the web. Again, this is what we're telling you, adult content. Note the situation. They are not saying, again, pornography. They're not saying sex. They're not saying anime. They're not saying horror. They are saying adult content. And what is adult content? If you look it up in the dictionary, you're going to get several different definitions because, these days they're trying to change the definition. But the current legal definition of it is any media source, whether it's books, whether it's internet, whether it's broadcast television, cable, that basically is for anyone over the age of 18. Pretty much cut and simple. As free speech advocates have pointed out during the protracted years-long process leading to its current version, the conservative government online safety bill will effectively censor and officially classify adult content according to whatever the standards the politician that happens to be in power in the UK at any given time will deem harmful or pornographic. Understand this. There are movies, there are R-rated movies. For example, I'll give you two of them. One of them is a Brian De Palma. Body Double, Dress to Kill, Body Heat, which has sex in those movies themselves. A very tawdry, erotic sex. The movie Emanuela, we've discussed this on another edition, that they're making a remake. The producers are proud for the first original Emanuela having an X rating on it, but technically it's between R and NC-17, depending on which movie you're talking about, because there are over 56 movies and series that have matured from the original 1970s Silvio Cristal's movie. Though termed a constitutional monarchy, the UK has no written constitution, no equivalence to US Bill of Rights, First Amendment, or codified Section 230 protections. The online safety bill currently being finalized by unelected aristocrat members of the House of Lords. The EFF analysis defines two types of sites which it targeted. Web services that solely exist to publish and sell access to pornographic content, and user-to-user services which allow users to post their own content. Remember, user-to-user services. That means they will go after YouTube. They will go after Rumble. They will go after every site that has a user-to-user service. This will also include peer-to-peer and every other services that you've seen on there. They will go after Twitter. They will go after Twitch. They'll go after the gaming sites. This is why it's so vague. What they consider pornographic. A girl wearing a bikini, would they consider that pornographic? Yes, they can. A tight outfit, a tight dress, where it shows a little skin, they can consider that pornographic. Let's continue on with the article. The latter may carry limited amounts of pornographic or harmful content because user-generated content is impossible to moderate at scale. But clearly, that is not their primary purpose. Social media platforms and other sites that contain user-generated content will have to assess the risk of children using their service and the risk of content defined as harmful to children being on their site. They will have to block children from being able to access content defined as harmful. This includes pornography, but the full list encompasses a much wider range of content. This, as far as US terminology, this is the constitutional nightmare that is in front of us right now. And a lot of people said, well, it's not really constitutional being pornographic. It's not the situation of pornography. It is a situation of what they consider harmful to users. And you have to remember, who is deeming this? These are unelected officials. These are people who are in the far religious right, that basically, the Christian, Mormon, Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, organizations like Morality and Media. This is the nightmare that has been presented in front of us and must be squashed immediately. Continuing on, whatever the UK government considers a pornographic website, however, will be mandated to prevent anyone under 18 from accessing its content. Pornographic websites that have UK users or target UK users, the EFF explains, will be required to use age verification to ensure children are not able to encounter their content. Age verification doesn't work, as I said before. Age verification is essentially identifying verification, which makes it effectively impossible to browse pornographic sites anonymously and creates the risk of data breaches and potential for data to be collected and potentially shared or stolen. Data protection laws apply, although little guidance exists in the bill about compliance. In the United States, we do have a compliance bill for the internet as far as that. Some of these age verification laws are violating those regulations. Understand that. If, and I've said this before, I've talked about Ashley Madison, and I think I'm gonna have to do an entire video on just the Ashley Madison incident itself. Ashley Madison, a lot of people says, well, why should I care about Ashley Madison? It's all these people that were cheating on their wives or husbands. That's what the site was. I don't care about these people on that. No, it's very important to the situation. Think of it as not only Ashley Madison, think of it as maybe Steam or maybe Twitter or maybe Facebook, which has happened, that basically information off some of these sites have been broken into. Not as extensive as what happened with Ashley Madison. In the case of Ashley Madison, they ran rickshaw and rolled a train into the station and pulled a major heist of information. And this is something that I do believe it still hasn't been remedied by most people that were involved in the situation. And this is years later, because for people to remove to grab your information and use it to get buy houses, get credit cards, buy cars, billing out your credit till they can't use it anymore is a danger. It is a total danger. Moving on to the rest of this article, as experts have been reporting, the Tory government of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak was pressured this year by a campaign of hardline conservatives in his own party to address adult content online through the Online Safety Bill. After years of delays, the Sunak government made the controversial bill a priority, seeking to hand a victory to social conservatives, religious crusaders, and swerve activists. Those groups have been conducting a moral panic campaign around harmful content, which for many of them includes all porn. Though the UK media marketing the bill as a save the woman and children measure.
Hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
See, now it's save the woman and children. Before it was just save the children measure, while disregarding or minimizing privacy and technical issues. In July, Sunak ordered a review of all legislations relating to pornographic online and off to ensure that it is fit for purpose. Tory Technology Minister Polly Scully told The Telegraph that Prime Minister's pornographic review will look closely at the laws and regulations relating to the offline and online content, informing our next steps. After passing the Online Safety Bill, which leaves the definition of what is harmful to the Conservative majority UK Parliament. This is the same thing with hate speech and misinformation. As I said before, you have people out there that are not experts, that are going to create scientific studies that are just not backed by science. And they have already. They've had pushed out there. And they talked about, porn addiction. They talk about on there, And the thing about it is, you talk to certain people, certain psychologists, and they said, people have psychological problems. You know, you can have someone who basically will sit there all day watching TV and close him out from the outside world. And this has happened in Japan. People have mental issues, and basically they have mental related issues that really doesn't have to deal with porn. It deals with basically something emotional in them, and sometimes you need help. You know, we have around the world, we have a very high suicide rate. Why? It's not only because of the trans situation, it's not only because of pornography, it's not only because of body shaming and all that. It is because basically there are issues in life that basically there are those radicals out there that are giving you the wrong information. Not misinformation, the incorrect information. For example, they're saying, well, if you're confused about your life, maybe you're trans. No, that's not what it is. A young teen goes through a element of questioning everything. Questioning life, questioning, their existence. They may have been bullied in school because of their looks. I was bullied when I was a kid. Doesn't mean I'm a woman, to the situation. I was bullied over my looks. I was bullied over my nationality. I went through racism when I was young. And it did affect me in a way where I did seek out help, and it did help me. And this is what people need to do. People push aside their emotional situations, not realizing it. Hey, you need to speak this out. You can't speak to your family. You can't speak to your parents. Speak to a licensed physician, as far as a psychologist, someone who understands these things, and see what they said. The details of the bill implementation, however, has been left to the UK's regulation agency, the Office of Communications, but the bill is vague on the details of this. Of course it is. The EFF reports. Social media and other sites where users regularly engage with each other's content will have to determine the risk of minors using the site and block their access to any content that the government described as harmful. Not pornographic, but harmful. Platforms like Facebook and TikTok, and even community-based sites like Wikipedia, will have to choose between conducting age checks on all users and potentially expensive and privacy invasive process, or sanitizing their entire sites. We've seen this already happen to Pornhub. Pornhub lost a lot of content. And you may say, so, well, they got rid of all the child porn. No, they got rid of stuff people were questioning. Not child porn. They got into complaining that they didn't like this video or that video. And in most cases, it's not something that you would ban. And this has happened. Pornhub is not like it used to be as far as the amount of content. They've lost a lot of content on their site. Well, now that a new company has taken over, in other words, new name, new head of the company, some new head, chairwoman in that case, that basically there's a woman at the piloting the site. We will see, maybe they will start to fight these lawsuits. The bill, the EFF concludes, will lead to less open, less functional, less free internet. Correct. Platforms will face criminal penalties for failing to comply and may choose to block young people, which in this country would be a violation of the Constitution, including those as old as 17 entirely. They may filter and moderate enormous amounts of content to allow young people on the site without age verification. They may filter and moderate an enormous amount of content for young people only, while allowing age verification users to access all content, or they may exclude UK users entirely rather than risk liability and the cost of expensive and untried age estimate systems and content moderation. Well, I'll tell you this, the VPN industry is going to be massively exploding after this. you're going to see a lot more people using more VPNs. They may have heard VPNs in passing, don't know what it is. Now they're going to look into what it is and use them. Already, places like Virginia, are using VPNs to get around the Pornhub blockage and other online sites that have age verification on there. This is something, to the situation. It's taking away freedoms of people. Those of you in the UK, please do comment and tell me your thoughts on this. And those of you around the world, let me know as well. Because, this is a situation. People have brushed this aside. And note how much mainstream media has touched upon this. Local media, I would have to say there are some out there that have touched base with the situation, mostly saying that it's good that this is being done, and that, but you don't hear both sides of the argument. There are some sites, some local media that have discussed this, especially on the internet, but we're not hearing enough. So what I tell you right now, share this video. It's very important. Share this out to your friends, your neighbors, your enemies, because, hey, listen, how long before they decide to take away your First Amendment Constitution to free speech? How long before they take that away from you? Could be sooner than you think. But who am I to say but a man with the show?
Thanks for watching. Before you go, if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and share this video. Also, if you haven't yet, please subscribe, as it helps us increase the reach of our channel. Finally, as a content viewer, you have the ability to help fund this and many other channels. If you wish to help grow this channel by financial support, you have two ways. There are two links below. One link will send you to a direct pay site where you can make a donation. The second link will send you to our gear store where you can purchase t-shirts, mugs, and other specialty items. Any additional discounts will be listed on the main page. Once again, thank you for watching and your support.